Get started. Happy March, y'all. What? Yeah. Do you know that in other places in the world they say March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb, and there's like a weather factor that exists for people? It's the East Coast factor. Well, here we are. Anyway, nice to see everybody. Thanks for being here and traversing in this challenging thing where there's weather falling from the sky. I know it can be a little crazy, but here we are. All bundled up and ready to go. And we have an amazing session with our family reunion panel today. So we have people on streaming somewhere, recording to YouTube. Hi. But in the room, I really wanted to have the panel in the room because you just hear it differently. You can ask questions differently. You can engage differently. So thanks for being here. And let's get started with our welcomes because we got a lot of welcomes, y'all. So that's because we have 2 weeks. All right. Lucas Marshall, we have a lot of welcome Metro. Lucas Marshall, Barbara Handy, Sean Barjoy, Wenda James, Rahula Gull, Christina Diag, Amanda Hill Cook, Brianna Niebla, Yesenia Medina, Lawrence Atkins, Danielle Joseph Series, and Isaiah Rankin is in the room. Isaiah's in the room. Is anybody else in the room? I don't think so. Welcome, y'all. And then from Signature, we're welcoming Barbara Chen and Dante DeMayo, and Dante's in the room. So welcome to you as well. Does anybody want to fill a bucket before we move on? Have any? Okay, Dana.
I'm Nicole Sastra. She is amazing, and over at our Escrow Partners, she saved a deal for us this week.
She saved the deal for you this week?
Yes.
Okay, so Dana's filling Nicole's bucket from Escrow Partners, and she said she saved a deal for her this week. That's awesome.
For us.
Yeah, for us. Yeah. For the world. For the Metro, Signature, Mega World. This is the Megaverse. Dan Becker.
I just want to thank the leadership for their amazing job celebrating us the other night on Friday night. It was so much fun. We had such a good time, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was really fun to get everybody together and celebrate the successes.
It was fun. I said the energy in that room. You know, Jenna Awards, this is my 3rd award. It's always fun. It felt different this past weekend. It felt really extra special. Best we've ever had, Ashley said. So I can't get better than that. So awesome. And congrats to all y'all for having great stuff to celebrate. All right. We have a bunch of upcoming trainings and events. Evie?
Yes. I'll just yell from back.
Yell it out, Evie.
Language of Real Estate tomorrow, upstairs on the 3rd floor at 8:30 with Steven is still going on. And then following right after that at 9:30, our amazing director of tech, Nick, will be going over syncing your database. So don't forget that that's via Zoom. I will post the Zoom again on our Facebook page. And then 1 o'clock upstairs with our dear Amy Bloom will be going over Ignite session 11, I believe, or is the next session that she's covering. That is strengthening your relationship. So that's at 1 o'clock upstairs on the 3rd floor. And then on Saturday, where's Alicia? There's my train squad over there. Coach Alicia is going to be here in person upstairs also on the 3rd floor for Paint the Town Red to come join her. Anthony will be there as well. So come join them upstairs. If you have any questions about the Paint the Town Red, how to participate, please reach out to our dear Coach Alicia. Also, this coming Friday, for those that are here in the office, I have an office here, they're doing a window frame work on Friday, starting at 4 o'clock, so we will need those that are driving or parking here out of the garage a little before 4 p.m., so this way they can finish whatever they need to finish. Otherwise, you'll be locked in until they're done. So before 4, you must leave the garage.
If you park in the garage and you are listening on YouTube after this moment, or you're listening live on Facebook right now, get your car out of the garage before 4 o'clock on Friday, or else you're locked in forever. You've been warned.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
For those of you that didn't see my post on Facebook, go check it out. How many of you are completely caught up on your database and commands?
Nobody.
That's what I thought. I put a poll up to see if anybody wants to get together once a week and meet for an hour. So there's a poll there. So if you are interested, make that happen. And we're going to try to figure out the best time for us all to get together and work together to get it done.
They are definitely interested. Thank you, Dan, for doing that. The ones who are interested will find their way, and the rest will come eventually. Alicia,
Yes,
coaching spotlight.
I would love to. And
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can do it, but
can I just yell from back here?
yell from back
I
there.
will yell from back here. Coaching and growth with me, Miss Judy.
Miss Judy!
Escrow on her own listing and closed escrow with the buyer. She's in growth.
Woo!
Sam Villavicencio, he's also in growth. He got another BRBC sign. Mike Link, who is in launch, closed his own escrow his own listing. Closed his escrow listing, whatever. That one was treacherous, you guys. I would have fired this client after like 6 days. So if you see him, give him a hug because he deserves it.
And Bob, and Nicole.
Yes, all of them
That's not the one.
that looks like that's it. So, yay. Thank you, team.
And we're sure so many more of you have things to celebrate that we just don't know about. So, you know, accept this celebration moment. I want to touch back on the classes that you hear announced really quickly. You are invited to attend everything that exists, unless it says invite only. And then if you're not invited and you'd like to be invited, ask me, how do I get invited to that? And I'll let you know if it's an accomplishment thing or if it's a special group for something or it's a community thing. The reality is we want you all to find your place to build and grow. And so, especially when it comes to the Ignite stuff, you guys, the Ignite is brand new. This is the second time we're running it, but it's brand new this last time. There's 20 sessions. Every single one of them connects your technology in some capacity. So unless you're a wizard and nailing every single topic that you see presented and you're incorporating your technology into that topic and you're crushing it, which some of you are in certain things, you're doing it really well. If you're not, you're welcome to come to that and you're invited to that session one at a time. If you've never completed the entire Ignite, I don't know why you're not at every session. Okay? This market, we're gonna go through the family reunion panel shortly. Gary Keller told us over and over again, we have to do things differently right now, right? We're finally in a place where Ashley and I were just talking. She and I both had the most successful producers we coach out of all the people we coach. For her, it's in the whole country. For me, it's in the county. Both had like mind melts this past week about meltdowns about what's happening in the market. But so you're not alone. It's not weird if you're feeling something like that too, because everyone who's doing the work is feeling something. So when you see the thing that you're gonna go learn and do differently, there's 2 people yawning, so if I start yawning, it's not that I'm bored of y'all. It's just the weather and it's contagious. I want you to be clear that how you feel right now is okay, because when we started in June of last year saying, hey, the market's shifting, what's going on? Ashley's words to us then were, by the end of the first quarter of next year, everyone will feel it. What is today? March 1st, the last month of the first quarter of next year. We're in it. We're now in the thing, okay? So if you felt it already, great, good job, you're in there. If you haven't felt it yet, it's coming. Maybe you won't ever get there. Maybe you're working your butt off and you double down and triple down and you're doing all the lead gen, so you're covering your bases and you're gonna be great. If you feel weird, it's okay. This is my giant service announcement, because when you have people who are succeeding at the highest levels and all the things, and they're coming to you going like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. What is happening right now? I'm gonna guess other people feel that way too, and they're just not saying it out loud. Okay? Okay, yay. Movement Mortgage, come on down. Stay right there.
Less of a movement thing, but more of a Team Silver thing. I know you look at my notes on this. So tomorrow, if you guys don't know this, the Silver team are really involved in YMCA. It's the one that's there at Mission Valley. So tomorrow at Park and Rec, aka Old Bourbon Street, we are having an event from 4 to 7, and 25% of the cash bar and also proceeds from the food vendor are going to be going to the YMCA. There's going to be raffle tickets sold. I believe there's pottery tickets and a couple other things that are going to be raffled off, so fun stuff. Keynote 2, this is an adults only event, 21 and up, so leave your kids at home, have fun. I won't be there, but the rest of the team will be there. Just fun, support, have fun, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 4 to 7, you'll post it on the Facebook page or it's already there.
I don't think it's on there yet, but I'll make sure it's on there.
And then you'll give people directions because they didn't hear you through the galaxy, planetary, never
Park
mind.
and Rec, on Park,
Yeah.
Old Bourbon Street.
Park and Rec, Old Bourbon Street, but post it online if it's a fundraiser and doing stuff, YMCA. Everyone be safe, Uber, make donations. Okay, awesome, thank you, Anthony. And Kathy Jackson, property pitches.
Just wanted to mention 2 properties, one that's coming up probably by next week. It's already signed up, but it's in Pacific Beach on Camelino Drive, 1322. It's not in the system yet. It's going to be 2.399, 2,600 square feet with 2.5 baths, great ocean views and bay views. So I think I'm getting the pictures taken at the end of the week. Within about a week, it'll be up on the system. Then another one, it's been listed for a couple of weeks at least. It's on Scott Street, 102 Scott, Unit 256. That's the Yacht Club condominiums. And it's studio condos. It's just got restaged. They did the staging. Did a nice job, made it look really nautical on the inside. And it's just easy living for people that want to live in a minimalistic way or off of a boat. Maybe it's a second home. There's a nice conference room there, heated pool, and an exercise room. It's only $519.9. $519.9. Yeah. Friday I'm going to have a champagne little open house for anybody between 4 and 6 if you want to consider.
A twilight, if you will.
Twilight.
Sounds delightful. Congratulations,
Thank you.
nice work.
Thank you.
Anybody else a property to pitch?
Got a rental? I've got a rental at 1928 Pacific Highway, 1928 Hancock Street, 92110. 1,500 square foot studio, vacant, 1 bedroom, loft, live work. It's ready to go. So let me know. It's $28.50 a month. 619-977-2993.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so the meeting's over. Go out and get a listing, and we'll talk about them next week. Just kidding. Post those on the Facebook page too, please, so we can see what's going on there. I'm sure you already have. And we will jump right to the main attraction. So if you're a speaker today, come on up and get in a chair. Vinny, Chris, Deb, Dan, Steve. And I will share with you guys, my notes didn't all come out yet for family reunion because they haven't, but they're coming. So the reality was for me, this was my 3rd in person, 5th year. I've also done mega camp, I've done a bunch of things. This was my favorite so far. And you're gonna hear from all of them from their agent perspective on what they learned, what's going on, what their takeaways are. You're gonna get a bunch of shares coming out from, Gary Keller started with like the 5 simple truths, and you're gonna get some visuals to go with that. There's just a ton to offload, and I didn't want today to become like overwhelming, like me word vomiting at you, which I could do sometimes. So I want to keep it simple with the agents and understand that we're getting everything shared back. So Gary's vision speech, we have the recording access to, the slides have been shared, the playbooks have been shared. Ashley?
I saw today the Ed Milet keynote video was posted, as was the vision speech and the tribute to Mel. All of those.
So she's stealing my thunder, but the Ed Milet Power of One More keynote, which people said was the best speaker they've ever seen. Some people didn't say that. I say that also. I think it was amazing. And in the mastermind we had today with our top 20% agents, there were two things said that I want to share with you guys before we get into it. And one was, it came from Ed Milet, and he said, if it's about your one more, and that you can interpret that in a million different ways, and we'll share all that with you. He said, if you could see your parent 6 times a year and you don't live near them, and you think they have 5 years left to live, that's 30 more visits with that person. And then it was like, or are you a gardener and that's your passion, and is it X number of more times you get to garden? And if you really think of life in those moments of how many actual moments you're guaranteed and what you get from them, will you show up differently for yourself? It's an answer inside your head thing, not an outside your head thing, right? But listen, I went on a roller coaster of that. That talk was a wild moment. The other thing I want to share from this morning, and so please, if you go watch his talk, the whole thing, we got the recording of, which they didn't think we'd be able to, but it was so highly requested that he did give us access to it. And the other thing from this morning was talking about appraisal issues. So Steve brought up appraisal issue questions, and Dan Becker gave the great advice of so if anyone's seeing appraisal issues start to come in now, that's the point. Let me catch you up to where my brain is inside. And dealing with your transactions right now and the way the market's moving, and now multiple offers coming in again, are we getting back into appraisal issues potentially? And how can we get around them? So of course, showing up and doing your job and having all your comps and being prepared and having the conversation and presenting your case to make sure that you get it out of the gate and don't try to argue for a change later, because the appraisers don't want to look like they made a mistake, so chances are not good there. It happens sometimes though, right? Sometimes it happens. Dan made the great point this morning of San Diego is large, and sometimes the appraiser is not actually from here. And if they're from one area, do they really know the other area? And so he gave the great advice of
just when they call to schedule the appointment, ask them if they know that neighborhood. Not the city, not the county, but that neighborhood, so that you can then make sure that they know what they're talking about and what they're doing, so that at least have a leg up over most others. There's a lot of out-of-area appraisers that come in, and that is always a difficult challenge to face. So if they're out of area, I don't schedule the appraisal, and I call the lender and say, I won't work with that appraiser, we need to find somebody that knows the area, and try and get her rescheduled.
I mean, I think that's really powerful. And that we're all like, oh, I never did that before. So I want to share with you guys, because if everybody on the call is like, oh, I never did that before, probably other people have the same thought. Okay, and then the last piece from me before I get to all of these fabulous folks is that there were a couple of people who were also attending and asked to share, and they couldn't be here, so they shared their notes. So we're going to share their bullet point ahas with y'all as well. And Evie, do you want to throw up the turkey slide first, actually?
It was up.
It was up. Okay. Do you want to know about it? Sure. Okay. We were lucky enough to meet the OP of the Turkey region, thanks to Ashley, and it was pretty wild. Over here,
You're fine.
For me, one of my family reunion takeaways was going into this, I've been seeing how many other countries we're in. I've been sending referrals all over the US, but now knowing that we have this global presence has been something that keeps popping up for me. So to be walking to the elevator when Ashley introduced us to the OP from Turkey, my heart sort of stopped. And it's funny because Sarah always tells the story of how this way of giving and this culture of KW is one of the things that brought her here. To be totally transparent, that's not my story. I love it, but it's not what I was looking for. I was looking for a business decision. I wanted the office that was going to make the most sense, that had the best technology. She walked me through Command when I was hired as an agent. That's what I cared about. It's different when you get to meet the humans. I can't explain what happened in that moment, but it moved me. And so one of my takeaways is one of the things that they are doing is they set up a GoFundMe. That's a QR code up there. He's about halfway to his goal. And one of the things I've been lucky enough to do is participate in the leadership calls that we have with all of the KW team leaders across the country every Monday morning. And when they shared it, instantly, there was like another, $25,000 that was donated over the course of that hour. And for me, thinking about bringing this home to you guys, and everybody donated a coffee, right? Like $5. Just the power that we have to do that because we are global, to me really stood out as one of my ahas of family reunion. Like there are people out there in the country, in the world that from a business standpoint you can connect with, but also the fact that we can help support our KW office in Turkey through this GoFundMe, to me that was pretty darn cool.
I'm sure most of you have heard about it or seen something. What he shared with us was what? Oh.
I just wanted to add that it's a huge thing. I mean, money it's a huge thing for them, but even still with the money, with the amount of donations that they're getting, it's not even enough. I have lived in Turkey for 3 years and I know these areas. It's devastated, like streets, they're just up down to the ground. So whatever you can help, it would be amazing to help them. They're in big needs.
The life lost in the moment, he said, was 40,000, but they expected it to be 100,000 people.
There was another
lost.
that hit yesterday.
And they keep having residual quakes. So like I saw the news flash like, oh, Turkey earthquake, and I don't watch the news on purpose, okay? So I didn't know what I didn't know. And then when you realize it and hear it, 40,000, they have to be 100,000. They only stopped there because they had stopped counting, and now they know no one else will be found alive, right? It's a very big deal. It's a really horrible thing, and it's the power of being able to bring it back to us and be like, if everyone just gives, $5 or something, the power of the population does big things with that. 200,000 times 5 is more.
I'll post this on Facebook soon.
What?
I'm gonna post it on Facebook.
And it'll be on Facebook too. Okay. What?
Just love that book.
Somebody should. Okay, so these lovely contestants here on The Price is Right volunteered to hang out and talk about family reunion. And for me, it's important to have a smattering of different types of people because everyone sees it differently and experiences it differently. And even though you go again and again, you hear it differently that year. So I'm gonna pass the mic around, and I want you first just to say which one this was for you, first, second, third, 12th, whatever. And what was your one biggest thing that changed your brain, right? We don't have to get into business implementation yet, but what was the one thing that you heard that you were like, wow, I never thought of that or knew that before?
All right, for those that don't know me, my name is Dan Becker. I've been out of this office it'll be 15 years in December. And I think this is my 11th or 12th family reunion. I've lost count. I just didn't go during the pandemic, but all the other times I've gone. It's a really powerful tool. Does everyone know what family reunion is? We talk about it, but do you guys understand what it is?
Why don't you just give a snippet, because I'm sure people don't. They're not gonna say that.
Okay, so it is an opportunity for a bunch of like-minded agents to come together to network and grow and learn from other people's best practices, how to improve your business. And that's really what it's about. So it's a huge number of people that come together. In this case, we took over the entire Anaheim Convention Center. So we have huge group meetings where everybody comes and sees like the Ed Milet thing. I cannot recommend that strongly enough. Take the time to watch that. If you weren't there, it was really powerful. And then you go off into breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms, when you think of a breakout room, it's 15 or 20 people. This is like 200 to 500 people in a breakout room. And you usually have 1 or 2 people or a panel of 4 or 5 people that are talking about a topic. And you get to choose the breakouts that appeal to you, that you want to focus on in your business, that you want to grow as an individual or as in your job, right? So it's an opportunity to go and learn and meet other people around the country and leverage their ability to do better in your business. It's an amazing opportunity. Does that kind of wrap it up? Okay.
Yeah.
So, for me, the one thing, I've always been a networker, and I like to think that I have a really good relationship with business. Almost all of my business comes from referral, either other agents or other clients that I work with or friends that know me and trust me in my business. And one of my biggest ahas was that if you think you're in a relationship business, that requires communication. And if you aren't making phone calls, you're not communicating. So you can't be in relationship with somebody you're not talking to. So I always think that I'm such a good communicator and I'm really good at my relationship, and that one slapped me across the face. So it's really powerful. You can be in control of the phone calls you're making. You don't get to be in control of the phone calls that are coming to you. So step up, create the communication, and communication is as simple as just having conversations. It's not like just connecting human to human. It's not about, do you know somebody looking to buy or sell real estate? It's about staying top of mind with that person so that they are always thinking of you at all times, right? So it's one of the analogies that one of the panelists used was, it's like being at a dinner party when somebody's only talking about the work they do and you glaze over your eyes and you move on, you do your best to get away from the topic. So whether it's social media or phone calls or however you stay in touch with your clients, they want to see the human side of you, and every once in a while be reminded that you do real estate. So that was my biggest takeaway. I mean, I got a lot, but that was my biggest one.
Hi. I'll just talk in the face. I do too. Can I?
Sure.
Hi, I've been here with the office and in residential real estate for 7 years. And this is my only office forever. And this was my first family reunion. Every year it's like, can I afford it? No. Should I go? No. This was great. This was the pandemic. No, I'm not doing that, of course. Hated the, when we had it on Zoom, that was just miserable for me. Yeah. And I was, and previous life, I ran a commercial real estate office in New York. And I was privy to 10 years of conferences, their global conferences, on the administrative side. I had no idea what to expect, just thinking it was going to be overwhelming, a lot. And I looked at the agenda and was like, oh my God, what do I do with this? Called crying, called Ashley crying, what do I do? And then just really, really buckled down and said, okay, what's going to be important to me this time? Because now I know that I'm going to go every year and get something different out of it and concentrate on something different every year. So my biggest takeaway was how many people were there. I have to say, there were over 15,000 people there. Is that a good number?
I've heard around 17, but I think it counts.
Engaged, wonderful, friendly, networking, cared about every human being in the rooms, right? And everybody's so willing to share, so giving, and so wonderful. And there was one thing, two small things. When Gary Keller kept saying, this is a J-O-B and you have to do the W-O-R-K, and I'm like, oh, what did you do last year? I think that was really the slap in the face for me, and Ed Milet saying that it's not that people believe you, it's that people believe that you believe you. And that was the one that really stuck out to me, saying, wow, isn't that true? And that really just changed my mindset. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Steve.
Hi guys, Steve Price. I'm at the Signature office. I've only been with KW since April of this past year, so I don't know a lot of you, but hi. So this was my first family reunion. I also did not know what to expect, and I actually ended up being there a day earlier on Friday, and I was like, okay, what am I doing? And I literally said,
something like
what should I do? Yeah, what the hell is this? And I ended up going to the worldwide event. I just kind of went, and I on Jacqueline's point, I didn't really understand how connected we are worldwide. It really blew my mind. I mean, Ghana, Bolivia, any place, France, anywhere that you can imagine, there's basically a KW office, which what that means for us is obviously connections, right? We can connect with anybody literally around the world that a lot of brokerages cannot do. So I found that awesome. That's not my takeaway. I've got a couple random things to tell you guys that nothing crazy that blew my mind, but some things that I left with that I am, reporting back to my team on. I think the top one that I can think of was when I was networking with other agents and like, hey, where do you work? What do you do? And then they would say, well, what's your average price point? I would ask them what their average price point was. And it was a reminder to me, and it should be a reminder to all of us, that we are so lucky to live where we live, right? Not only because this is where people vacation, but because we make a percent of the sale. And I'm talking to so many agents that are like, oh yeah, our average price point is $190,000, right? I was like, holy crap, like how many houses are you selling at this? Oh, last year we sold 165. I'm like, I couldn't even imagine doing that, right? I couldn't even imagine. And yes, our cost of living here is higher, but not relatively speaking, right? Not at all. So just remembering that we have an opportunity here, being agents in a very high-priced area that people are, if this is their destination, and remember that you're an agent in San Diego, right? So take that with what you will and run with it, because you have a chance to make a lot of money here with not doing 165 properties. So there's that. I also took away, I don't necessarily in my business market to such specific groups, but I found that when people were talking of like, hey, we just work with LGBTQ, or we just work with the Jewish group. And I don't do that at all. I don't have any specifics that I do, but I think throwing into my business of maybe a little bit more specific marketing to these groups would boost my business and help me. And so much so that like, if I'm working with a Jewish federation, that there are people that are in there, or the LGBTQ, there are people that are in there for a reason. They're very heavily focused on that group. So what can I do as an agent that shows that, hey, I'm not just there to get your business, but I can also give back, right? Like work with me and I can also give back to what you're passionate in too, so it's really a win-win for everybody. That kind of opened my mind a little greater as to something that, I can kind of tweak in my own business that lets me think outside the box is what I'm always trying to do. Two more things, sorry, I know you guys, that's too much. Two more things. The first one is that it's really our job to educate our clients. That's literally what our job is we're educators. We're educators for other agents. We're educators for our clients first and foremost. They're hearing so much on social media, so much on the news that is not what we're really experiencing. So be the best educator that you can be for your client, right? Because what I'm experiencing is not what I'm being told through social media and the news. It's totally opposite of what I'm experiencing on the front lines. So it's my job to educate them on that. And last, from Molly Fletcher, right? That's her name? Yeah. She was really wonderful. Also something to look up. But, and let this sink in, just because we do transactions doesn't mean we should be transactional. Right? I'll say it again, just because we do transactions, which is what we do, we're moving contracts around, we're negotiating, doesn't mean we should be transactional, right? This is a super relationship business. Trust is obviously the most important. Like Dan said, communication. We can't be transactional just because it's a transaction-based business.
I love what she said when she said that and she works with sports athletes, professional athletes, and agent. And what she said was, it dawned on her that she needed to communicate with the wives of these players, because they were the ones that were doing the heavy lifting.
Sure.
They were the ones that had to move the kids. They were the ones that had to move the school. They were the ones that had to do all that work. And so that really changed her mindset and changed her life. And I think that's what she meant also by that, to really understand the fuller picture.
Yep.
The whole human.
Yeah.
It's not just we're writing a contract and selling a business. Ashley, you have a question?
No, I want to comment on her. Look her up, because there are many things that stood out, but most of all, when I'm having a bad year, because sometimes we can have a whole bad year. She was pregnant, had 4 months off being pregnant, got pregnant again. 18 months, pretty much, pregnant, and ended up having 3 babies in a year.
Because one was twins. Yay! That was a great story. I forgot about that.
So that was my experience, and it was good. But just remember, we're not just doing transactions.
Hi, my name's Vinny.
And I'm bold.
And I'm bold, yeah. Known Josh for 11 years. I think this was my 5th or 6th family reunion. For the most part, I always think that Golden Family Reunion is like them trying to feed you a bunch of Kool-Aid, KW Kool-Aid. This year felt a little more real, with them being a little more honest, which I always appreciate. If you know me, if you talk to me, I'll be as blunt as possible. So I appreciated that. There was definitely, there's a lot. I think the Ed Milet thing, that was a very good speech right there that he had. But a couple of different nuggets took away with events, right? You can do it very on the cheap. And I'm horrible when it comes to events, but they're talking about every time you have an event, have the next one scheduled. Do-it-yourself programs, and I've been already reaching out to Home Depots, but you can try other kind of, Lowe's or those kind of places, but they will sometimes do 15-minute do-it-yourself programs, so you can bring your clients to those programs. Michael's, other places like that. So it's on the real cheap to put events together for your clients. So that was a key takeaway. And then with YouTube, something I've been looking to make a push into or been putting content out there was just making myself a little bit cleaner. They had, looking at the YouTube for the panelists, they would put basically one video a week up on it. I think it was TubeBuddy, I think is a platform. If you have a YouTube channel, add that to your YouTube, download it. It'll give you insight. There's a free version of it that will give you kind of insight into how your SEO is on there. And then you can pay a very minimal cost. Right now, I'm just trying the free one out there. But there's a lot of little small nuggets like that. Because again, going to family reunion, you're going to get a lot of information, but mostly what happens is you get the information and don't use the information. So I'm picking a couple different things that I'm incorporating in my business.
Just so you all know, Robert texted me and said I should smile. Because he said it looked like I had gas, so that was rude. Anyway, I'm gonna turn them.
He's just mad he's not here.
Yeah, he's just jealous he's not me. So, he's in Chicago where it's freezing. Well, it's freezing here too, but anyway. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Bain. I have been at this market center 16 years. I think I've probably been to family reunion 12 or 13 times. Yeah, at least 12, I would say. And like Vinny, he said, they try to have you drink the Kool-Aid. Ironically, I was handing Kool-Aid out to people at family reunion. No, it was real Kool-Aid. I was doing it to add to my database. People thought it was really cute.
As your agent.
Yeah, as my agent networking thing. That's why I was doing it. But anyway, so a couple, one of the big takeaways was, and Gary Keller was very blunt about this. He said you're going to have to work 3 times as hard this year. He said because there will be less opportunities, but it does not mean that your opportunity has to be less. So bottom line, work.
Yeah.
That is my story. You want to add to it, Dion?
To what that you said.
No, yours was perfect.
Yours was enough.
Yeah.
Where only if you did
I know, I like being brief.
One of the things that Vinny was talking about was events, and people get so worried about events and turnout and making sure the event is perfect. One of the things that one of the panels talked about was the event is not important. It's the lead up to the event and the follow-up after. And in his case, he has 10 touches before his event begins. Then he has the event, and then he has 2 to 3 follow-up touches afterwards. And it's all a smart plan in command. So in all of that, he's only making 2 phone calls. And the point he made was, it's not important that people show up. What's important is how they feel from being invited. When you get invited to something, how do you feel? It feels good. You feel included. You feel part of that group and that company, that organization, whatever it is. And so it's the inclusionary feeling that creates that relationship, and then the context before and after. It's very simple, and it doesn't have to be fancy or expensive.
And you're right, it didn't matter how many people showed up. Right?
And Dan, was there, did they have any list of kinds of events you can have? I don't know why I struggle with that, but just, is there a list somewhere of the types of creative events you can have?
We'll give you one.
Do what you like.
Yeah.
Basically, that was the big takeaway. Do what you like.
Do what you like.
Yeah, so if you like basically going to hockey games, you like going to baseball games, you like doing whatever it is,
Okay.
do what you like and have the people adapt to you. That was basically the takeaway.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Because they'll stick to it.
We can do a brainstorm in the office.
Let's do it.
We could have a mastermind in the office at some point if we wanted to. It'd be fun. Cocktails and event.
Oh, that'd be
Another thing they said too is make sure to tell them, even if you're lying, that you have a wait list. Call them a couple days beforehand. Say, hey, we have a wait list right now, so I just want to confirm you're coming. If you're not coming, can you please cancel so we can invite the people on the wait list?
Just put your cousin on the wait list and then it's not live.
Yeah.
Okay. I got distracted and I don't know what I was going to say. Gary Keller and the JOB and the WORK. The vision slides are out. The whole speech is out. So you can look at the slides. I've already shared them. It's going to be a lot more powerful if you listen to his words talk about it. And before I lead into your other question that we'll go through for everybody, it's when he walked through the slides, he did, okay, so we're going to lose 1 million real estate agents, not 1 million, I wish we would lose 1 million. None of you guys, but the other 1 million. We're gonna lose a lot of real estate agents. We've already lost 50,000 in the past 2 months.
350 to 400,000.
350 to 400,000, thank you. We'll lose over the next year. We've already started, it'll wash out, what? Good, yeah, no, I'm here for it. So I want y'all to get more, and that's important. So if I said to you, we're gonna lose 350 to 400,000 real estate agents, we're going to do about 1 million less transactions this year, about 1.5 million less transactions this year. How would you feel right now?
Ready to go get my share.
Unfair share. Right, you still have the unfair share factor. Right? There's still more than enough for you, and yet the next slide he showed was, and if I only showed you this slide, which is in the vision slides, we're also going to have the 3rd highest sales volume year in the history of real estate. Most likely, that's expected, right? We're not there yet. How would you feel if I just led with that one? So the story you tell is so important, and having the whole picture is so important. Alicia?
You said 1 million less sales
We
this year?
went, the peak was 6.3 in 2021, and they're expecting 4.2.
So I think that, like, how does that affect us? It doesn't affect us if we're producers. If you're that person who's doing 1 or 2 a deal a year, waiting on your cousin or your neighbor to sell, it's going to affect those people. Those people who are actually working, it's not going to affect.
Exactly, and that's where he said, like, then he showed the sales volume slide, and I'm like, just kind of laughing about it. So watching the vision speech, at least look for that part, because he's like, then if you look at this part, there's the slide, where it's the 3rd highest sales volume year in the history of real estate. Does that have a different headline feel than we're going to lose this many transactions, right? It's all about the reality of the story, which is what these guys are saying. I just want to make sure to highlight a few of those key pieces for you guys, and you'll keep getting it. So the question I want to leave everyone with is, now that you've shared what your ahas were and what's most interesting to you, what is the one thing you are already implementing into your business, or that you are in the process of implementing into your business? I know some of you have already started doing the thing, but we need to not just have what one of you said, like, I just go and learn a bunch of stuff and don't do it. There's the slide, volume per agent, 3rd highest ever in the history of ever, or maybe 2nd. Anyway, a lot. Go get it. So to make sure you get something from what you're hearing, and then what are you actually implementing and doing?
So the one thing, I love networking. Like, that's how I do all of my business, through friends, associates, people. And my favorite thing I learned was to stack your networking in your home court advantage. And this woman, so if you work family reunion, you probably heard me talking about this already because I've been telling everybody about it. What you do is you have 1 or 2 locations that you go to regularly where they know you, right? That's your home court. So it's a restaurant or a bar or a coffee shop, whatever that place will be. And this woman gave the example that she does this 3 times a week for 2 hours at a time. And she sets up 3 networking meetings during those 2 hours. So she goes to a restaurant, she has lunch with person 1, in this case she said it was a lender, right? So she'll do a lender, get to know a new lender, find out what that person needs. It's not about me, it's about networking and how can I help you? Because by helping you, I'm hoping that that will come back to me. So now she has the lender, they spend an hour having lunch, and then when that lunch is over, then you have your next appointment come in. In this case, she said it was a brand new agent, right? So I have a new agent come in, I introduce that new agent to the lender so that they can meet, and then I step out and go to the bathroom. Well, what do those 2 people have in common? Me. So they're going to talk about me and how they know me, right? Then I come back and I have my half-an-hour meeting with the new agent on my own, and then the 3rd person comes in this case, she said it was a divorce attorney or somebody else, right? So you introduce the agent to the divorce attorney. They can help each other out, right? You step away, let them have a conversation with you. You're doing this in a place that you're well known. So what happens is you show up, the valet person knows you, the hostess knows you, the waiters know you, you have your regular table, you're there every week doing this. You're providing help to other people. But now you get there and you say to the hostess, so these are the 3 people I'm meeting today. This person's coming at this time, this person's coming at this time, this person. So when they come to say, hey, I'm here to meet Dan Becker. Oh, you're here to meet Dan Becker. He's at his table right now. Let me take you to him. It immediately gives you gravitas and importance because they know who you are before this person has ever sat down with you. So you're doing your networking in a way that's helping them be better for themselves in a way that leverages your time in a tight constraint, and you find out what you can do to help them, and then they're naturally going to want to make your business better.
There's a book for that. 7 levels of communication. It's called the 7 levels of communication.
7 levels of communication. Guy's last name is Michael Yamahar. So, Maher.
It's on Audible too.
Do it on Audible.
Yeah.
So I got nothing like that.
What's the one thing you're going to do, or you already started doing?
I've been talking about implementing and running with Command since Command came out. I am now, that is my mission. Get everything in Command. I'm not even going to worry right now about cleaning it up. I'm going to make sure that everybody is in there, and I'm going to get my smart plans done. And if I'm going to have to work double, I've learned that Command is going to be able to do some of that work for me. So that's my big thing. And I forgot to tell you, my biggest takeaway really from the conference was wear sneakers. Wear sneakers, except if you're Nancy. Nancy showed up in her beautiful heels, but wear sneakers. Yeah, so Command is it for me. I'm not fooling around anymore.
So tomorrow at 9:30, Nick is teaching Sync Your Database. Right? So if you're not, and I love that you said I'm not doing anything like that, because Dan gave something that for some people they're like, go to a restaurant, have a table, spend all that money, no people to invite, I'm overwhelmed, right? So if that feels freaky to you, that's fine. What about just go into your database and make sure your people are in there? Everyone can do that. And if you don't know what to do, then go to Nick's class tomorrow morning and learn from him on how to do it.
Is that in person or online?
That is a great question.
It's Zoom. It is on Zoom, but he did talk when we saw him in person that he really wanted to start doing once a week for an hour.
Dan.
Well, Dan did, but Nick's going to start doing in-person stuff as well. Yeah. So there's going to be more because everyone can do that. So you'll hear some stuff that feels like, I don't know, but there's always going to be something you can do, right? So pick up what you can and let the other stuff go. Steve?
I guess one other thing that I took away was I took some classes on wealth building. I thought that was really interesting, kind of a different, it's more about you, not so much about clients or how to get more clients. And a lot of you are newer agents, just know that in this business, there's so many paths that you can take. so many paths you can take to make money, so many paths you can take for yourself and your family personally, and there's not a right or a wrong path. It's just getting involved and learning about it. So I took away some of that, and I would have, I think next time I'll do more of that. But that's kind of where I'm at. My business is okay now. Where am I going to put my money to make more money? And that all started to roll, and I enjoyed that.
So yeah, the stuff that I already talked about with the YouTube, already incorporated that. Buyer seminars, have them scheduled right now. Have another event, poker event that I already scheduled. For the buyer seminar, another, I guess, takeaway was the don't call it a buyer seminar, call it something else. So I have it, I think this one's learn how to use someone else's money to buy your house. But yeah, so don't call it buyer seminar. But yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been using Command since it came out, but I'll be honest, I haven't. I looked today, I caught up on all my tasks before I went to family reunion. Now I have 92 that are overdue. So I'm fully aware that it comes on fast. It's just like a tsunami. So my goal, is to stay on top of that. But then the other thing that I've been working, I know some of you, I was very cocky and said I'll never ever do another open house. I know some of you can't think that I can be cocky, but I can't.
Nobody thinks
that. I made a ton of money over the last 2 years, and then last year I was like, well, this sucks. And so anyway, I committed to my coach to re-implementing those, especially in the last quarter. And I realized, and I did pretty well with open houses prior to the pandemic, I was not doing them to the highest level that this woman did. And this woman was from Oklahoma. She did 44 open houses, I think, in 1 year. She closed at least one transaction per open house. She did her open houses for 1 hour on a Sunday. That's it. And she gave the simplest steps to do this thing. I've been overcomplicating this process. I can cut some of the steps I do literally in half, just implementing her stuff. And I've already started doing it, and I'm like, this was worth the whole trip. Just that one class was worth the whole trip, and it was super, super easy.
And you'll be sharing those steps, yes?
Yeah,
Just
the
go
whole
ahead.
I can, and by the way, I'm also very good in events. I'm having another one. I just sent out my first invite, which is a process. It's like an 8-step process.
I didn't want to out you if you didn't want to share.
No, I am, and I just sent the first step out yesterday. I had 14 people RSVP already. Wow. So I can go through with you what I'm doing. I would invite you to come, but
You can't work
your
with that.
guests only. But actually, and then I had a client say, hey, can I invite more people to this thing? And I've already gotten 5 different ads to my database from that one person, so I'll tell you how to do it. That one, and that's actually fun. So that one thing, the open house part of it, was probably the best part of the entire weekend.
You're going to give any tips right now for the open house thing?
Well, she said, yeah, I can do that. So 2 things. She's Australian in Oklahoma. She married an American, and she came all the way from Sydney, Australia. So she's got kind of this Southern / Australian accent now. And because, the United States isn't in the metric system, she ordered open house signs, and she told her guy, she was like, oh yeah, I want 2 by 3. She ordered 2 foot by 3 foot open house signs on an accident. And so that was one thing. She said I got really big open house signs, but the open house signs, instead of a specific time, it just says happening now. So it creates a sense of urgency. That's one thing. Another thing is she doesn't have any sign-in sheets whatsoever. She doesn't do QR codes with sign-in sheets. She doesn't do any of that. She just simply, when someone has a question, Vinny comes to me, oh, do you know X, Y, and Z about the house? Because chances are we'll probably be holding up in a house that isn't ours, right? So then she says, I pick up a regular notepad, I have my business card, I take all the notes. I just tell them, I'm gonna take notes on what your questions are and I'm gonna get back to you with these. Can I have your phone number so I can call you? What's the best email address I have? So that way, she says, even if they might be working with an agent, you know, that they're not totally committed to, she says, I'm gonna email everything to you, follow it up with a phone call, so that way you have it in writing so you can give it to your agent in case there's an issue. Then she, then she can add them to her database and, put them on neighborhood nurturers and send them stuff. But then she gives them that, and then she follows up with them right away. She even takes notes on things that she may have the answer to, but she's collecting their contact info. So that's the other thing. Even if it's just, and this weekend I did that very, very thing. There were some things, I mean, like people were asking me about the solar on the house. I'm like, I didn't even know there were panels up there. And so I was like, well, I don't know if they're owned or not, but let me find out. And so then that kicked in. So I had, people were, I'm like, you know what, that's one of the questions I already have. Why don't you give me your contact information? And she only writes one person's stuff on a piece of paper, and then she rips it off. So she's got them, and she can take specific notes later on, so she's not crowding everything. And then it goes into command, and that's how she starts keeping in touch with them. But when she told me she does it for 1 hour on Sunday, from I think she does it from 2 to 3 or 4 to 5 or something like that on a Sunday. And she said her goal is to get at least one piece of contact information. Most times she gets a couple. And she said that from that, she's built her entire business off that one thing, because she went from Sydney to Oklahoma City, not knowing anybody about her husband and her mother-in-law. And that's how she built her entire business, and she closed 44 transactions. I'm like, that's just one leg of your business. And you do an open house 1, maybe 2 days a week. So anyway, that was a huge aha for that. I can give you Good Fridays my notes from that if you want, and then if you want to talk about it, I'm happy to do that as well.
Can we use 2 by 3 signs then?
Who cares?
You can until they say you can't.
Who said you can't even use a 2 by 3 sign?
HOA is fine.
Oh God, you guys are
Certain cities.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink anything. Just do it. And blame me.
Your JOB, your W are okay. Any last thoughts, comments, moments? And
I know we're at time, but is there any way I could share command changes or updates?
Yes, pick me. We're gonna start to be able to advertise on TikTok, which would be exciting for me. They're getting rid of Twitter. They're getting rid of Twitter. I'm only 18 days away from Ashley got me banned on Facebook, FYI. Not banned, but I can't advertise on Facebook for 18 more days. Thank you, Ashley. It was your fault, though.
That's a long story.
It's a long story.
New agent website.
New agent website.
Retargeting.
You're gonna be able to retarget. You'll be able to use Instagram at a higher level. So there's an
updated command app.
There's an updated command app. It's really sexy, actually. Yeah, it's really pretty. But I'm really excited about the new website because it's a little bit more interactive than the one that we have right now. It's a lot. It's more user.
Oh look, Nick's here. Nick, what's new on command? That's the question. Thank you.
One of the things about the new command app that I wanted to talk about, one of the people that were teaching the command app there, they've removed their phone app off of their phone and put the command app in its place, and it's the command app. She's like, I even call my mother using the command app because it tracks every phone call I make. So when your mom says you didn't call, you can pull up your command app and say, I called you at this day on this time.
Here's my timeline. So Nick, everybody wants to come learn all the command things, and Emily just asked what for the last part of the family. And if anyone has to go, we are at time. what is new in Command that's rolling out now?
We're gonna have new agent websites rolling out, completely revamped. They're all modern looking. Because I honestly don't like the old agent websites. Yeah, so these things are gonna be completely awesome looking. If any of you use the Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan, we're also completely revamping those. So yeah, those also look pretty sweet too. And then I just heard about the Command app. Command app, yes, that is, everyone should download that. You're able to almost run like your whole business from there. All the opportunities, so if you're someone who uses opportunities, that is now fully functional within the Command app. I believe that's all I know off the top of my head.
Well, then no pressure, and the rest of it will come to your classes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, 9:30?
Tomorrow morning, 9:30 on Zoom.
On Zoom?
On Zoom. Any other last questions, thoughts, concerns as we wrap up here? Thank you to everybody for sharing.
There's a QR code for your business card inside your Command app, so stop giving people your business card if you're on the floor and start taking their information.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Have a great week. Happy March. Get to WO.